name is John Peaveler. I am the owner of Humane Innovations. Welcome to my new learning lab. So I've got this really cool space in the bottom of a barn. I live in sort of central Pennsylvania, so it's pretty cold. It's mid-January, so notice how I'm dressed. But anyways, I got a nice big space. I got a ton of tools. So Tomahawk has provided a plethora of items. We're going to do videos on all of them, most of them. Today we're going to focus on one specific tool, and it is the RM-42. So this is the Restraint Module 42 from Tomahawk Live Trap. This is an exceptionally important tool in my opinion. I've used it very successfully working with some pretty difficult animals. But we got to think about if we have an under-socialized, unsocialized, feral, wild, fractious, whatever dog, there's a lot of risk to us as handlers. So there's risk to our organization. Like I can be injured. Our organization can have to deal with, bite quarantine and rabies hold and whatever. You obviously don't want to get rabies and disease and stuff. So there's all sorts of incentive not to be bitten. And then there's consequences for the dog. So we're going to be using NACA, the stuffed dog from our NACA series. So there's consequences for NACA as well. If he bites me, so now he's got a bite history. So maybe now he's not adoptable. Maybe now he's on rabies hold. So he's, his stress levels are higher and he has fewer interactions. So he's less adoptable. Maybe he can't be adopted. Depends on the severity of the bite and the organization and everything. So lots of things can go wrong when an animal bites. And so we want to avoid that. We want to avoid that for me. We want to avoid that for the animal. This cage can really help us to do that. I started using this a lot in the deserts of Kuwait. We were working with a lot of feral dogs. This allows you to very quickly and humanely interact with an animal, regardless of their disposition. You can use it with more restraint or less restraint. I'm going to show you everything about it. So let's check this thing out. All right. So 2 doors, front door, back door. Both of the doors are the same. Each door has a clip, so you want to make sure that we can close it and latch it properly as needed, especially for transport. You don't want to accidentally grab the handle and the door comes out. If you got to lift, don't really transport an animal in it. It's pretty awkward for that because it's got this interior sliding wall. I'm going to give you a little bit closer view of that. In fact, I'm going to remove this door so you can see. All right, so check that out. Sliding wall, very well made, exceptionally durable. And if you notice these little notches, so these notches allow us to set the wall in place anywhere that we want. So I can simply reduce the amount of space the animal has so they can't move around. I can apply it slowly. I can slowly restrain an animal. I can quickly restrain an animal as I need to. Just depends on, do I have enough time? What's the animal's disposition? Do I need them to be completely immobile because they're so fractious, like I just can't anesthetize or vaccinate or whatever this animal? I need to squeeze them, inject them, be done. Okay, so let's put NACA in here and let me show you what that looks like with an animal inside. All right, so NACA goes in. I'm gonna talk to you about how we might get NACA in here to begin with, because that's kind of important. But first, let's start off with, if we have an animal inside, what are we gonna do? So if he's going to be in here for any length of time, like if he's going to need to wait for the effects of anesthesia, so we're going to need to wait till the animals they're unconscious. Probably going to go ahead and clip these just to make sure that there are no kind of issues. Like if I turn my back, walk away for a minute, let the drugs take effect, I don't want this animal to escape, obviously. Now I can work this with one person. It's a little easier with 2 people because we're working with bigger animals. With a cat size, very easy. Okay, so how do we get NACA or whatever dog into this module in the first place? First, we need to note that because we have this black bar on one side, we have limitations on what we can do up against a wall, right? So we need really almost double the width. So if I'm trying to line it up on like a shelter or guillotine, I can do that. I just have to turn it around. That's why I worked with Tomahawk to increase the height a couple of inches so we could get bigger sized dogs in here, and to add a second door. That way you can turn it around and you can work from both sides. I've heard of organizations using this in the kennel. So you have a fractious dog in the kennel and you sort of use this kind of as a trap at the guillotine. Just lure the dog in with some treats or whatever. You can kind of set it up as a live trap. You can also use a live trap in that environment, but you can just line this up and now you have a fractious animal in here and you can quickly work with that animal. Just imagine what the benefits might be if you're working in a shelter environment. Instead of putting these animals through whatever type of handling you're going to end up doing, whether it's leashing or control poles or whatever, these more invasive methods, just get them in here, close the door, quickly inject them, whatever you got to do, you're done. Much faster, much easier for the animal. All right, so that the ability to work from both sides, pretty important. Also, like if I'm transferring from a trap, I'm not going to work with a trap so much right now because I'm on a table, but we can sort of pretend this is a trap. I've got this trap nicely set up against a wall or something, and I'm going to immediately reset this trap in the field, but I need to process this animal out. I can turn this around and line up the door and move the animal over. So I got some options in the field as well. So if I'm going to transfer, I'm going to unclip. Make sure you unclip, it's kind of a pain. If you forget, you'll pull them back apart again. Make sure both doors run free. Line them up. Now, if you've got an animal that's really excited, high energy, a lot of movement, you suspect they may try to rocket right out the back, and may knock the cages apart. I have lost an animal that way before. As a matter of policy, we would always take carabiners from cage to cage so that they can't separate. You could also just do bungee cords or whatever works for you. Just know that there may be some benefit to physically connecting these things, especially with dogs. A lot of mass, a lot of power. So I'm gonna raise the doors. Now, in general, I don't really need to keep both doors on. I can remove one door, especially if I got them connected. I really have all the time in the world if I connect the cages. Okay, so I can remove one door, just get that out of the way, especially if I got them connected so they're not gonna come apart. Take my other door. What I generally try to do is just kind of kink it at an angle, get it almost all the way to the top, and now there's a good chance the animal will just move on their own. Awesome sauce. If they move over on their own, that's the easiest thing in the world. If they won't move, many animals will move from light to dark because they want to feel hidden, they want to feel protected. So go ahead and give them that dark space. They may move on their own. I can move my body over here, dog may move away from me. Awesome sauce. Just be ready to close that door as soon as I need to. If that doesn't work, I might give them the illusion that they can escape. So open up this end, now there's light on that side. I can walk over here, see if they'll try to get away from me. Oftentimes they'll now move. Like, okay, NACA still didn't move because honestly, he's the world's worst behaved dog. I mean, he doesn't mess in the house, but he never does what you tell him to do. So I'm gonna take the Tomahawk Magnum Y-pole. I like the Magnum for dogs. It's got a little bit more purchase. So I'm gonna undo this far door. And I'm just gonna barely open that door, just enough to get this Y-pole in here and then push, if that's what I have to do. You can kind of use big size trap dividers. It's a little tricky with the restraint module. It's a little easier with the trap. Generally speaking, most animals move trying one of these other things. And then if you need to, as a backup, the Y-pole is a great option. So obviously, NACA's not gonna move no matter what. Now, if my goal was to anesthetize NACA and he wouldn't move, then maybe I just don't need him to move. So I've been moving him from the restraint module. That's possible. Might need to move him from a trap into the restraint module, or in this case, into the transfer cage. So the transfer cage is dimensionally about the same as most of the sort of medium big dog traps from Tomahawk. So I can line this up to a trap. And so instead of having 20 traps, I could have 10 cheaper cages and 10 traps and really sort of maximize my resources. Because I can keep running those 10 traps and moving the animals into these transfer cages, which are a lot easier to carry and transport. You can also ask Tomahawk to do custom size transfer cages so that they fit your animal control boxes. That's an option as well. There may be some lead time on that. They're obviously busy making a lot of stuff. Okay, so a little maintenance on the restraint module. I mean, for the most part, it's pretty die-hard. Most of it is galvanized steel. You know, galvanized will rust at some spots or whatever, not significantly. It's galvanized. It's designed to last. The bar, on the other hand, the sort of black bar here is steel. So as that paint starts to chip and whatever, you'll start to get rust on here. Really not a big deal. It's a pretty heavy piece of steel. It may rust. You can knock that rust off and repaint it, or you can just live with it. They have these nice springs on here. Now, I love the springs when they're restrained or when they're in the sort of connected position. They work really well and they're pretty smooth, don't get hung up too much. They get hung up on everything when you have multiple cages and they're loose. So because they're on here, either use them or lose them. Use them every time or get rid of them. You'll just have a huge pain just dealing with that, getting caught on stuff. The other thing that'll happen is this will get bent, and this one actually has been bent a bit. The track will get bent a little bit. Just need to bend it back into shape. Again, it's galvanized, so it's gonna last a long time. And then just bend it back as needed. And that kind of goes for all types of cages. You know, things are going to get dropped and whatever, they're going to run into each other and jostle around the back of a truck. Just rebend it. So keep that in mind. So you want to make sure that those doors run cleanly up and down. All right, so let's do the RM-42 by the numbers. I'm going to take a wild guess and say we're looking at about 42 inches in length. And that's exterior dimensions, so our interior length is going to be closer to, we don't lose much, 41 and a half, something like that. Width, with the wall all the way open, we're looking at a little over 16 inches. That's more than big enough for most dogs. You're not going to fit a Great Dane in here. You might stuff a Pyrenees or a Bernard, something like that. Not sure why you'd need to, but I mean, I have honestly met some feral Great Danes. So, all right, so the height, we're looking at 26, a little over 26. Let's see, any other dimension we want to cover? Well, let's see, if you're curious, each opening is a little under an inch wide and a little under 2 inches long. So that's the size of the opening. So if you pop one of these, if you cut one piece out, like you want to be able to stick a wand scanner in there or something, you're gonna gain. You'll have two inches by 2 inches, so you have a 2-inch square there. The RM-42, this is the largest size that they currently make at Tomahawk. The RM-42 is a lot more. This is a $299 product. Again, to me, 100% worth it. I have bought at least, I think, 4 for my needs in the field over my career. It's going to last a long time. It's not something an organization needs a lot of. Just imagine you avoid one serious dog bite. Imagine that one animal goes home faster because instead of getting traumatized when you're trying to just trying to vaccinate you, buddy. We're just trying to microchip you. Things we have to do when we get you in here. And now we've traumatized you, and now you're going to be with us for 3 months because we're trying to make you adoptable. Trying to deal with all that training and everything. Imagine you spend $300 plus shipping right here. Imagine the savings further on down the road. Also, you can strap either the restraint module, or a transfer cage we talked about earlier, the sort of basic cage. Same basic dimensions, maybe a little bit shorter. You can strap that onto like a hydraulic cart and you can roll it right up to a vehicle. So you can unload, you can either load or unload vehicles. So if you're coming from the field, let's say you're an ACO and you've loaded up a fractious dog, that's pretty tough to do in the field, I get it. Whatever you did to get that animal in, now you got to do again. And that can also often be pretty invasive if you've used a control pole or something. Now when we get to a shelter, we could have one of these strapped onto a hydraulic cart and push them right in. You can use a Y pole from the other side of your vehicle, or just lure the animal in, wait a few minutes, whatever you can do. Get them into here, so avoid 50% of the invasive nature of whatever process you had to use. Now we can roll them into medical. We can do that microchip scan. We can do that vaccine, whatever. So to me, totally worth it, because it's better for animals, it's better for people, and just in so many ways. So I hope you like this video on the restraint module. I know it's long. I talk about this stuff way too much. I've used it a lot. It's stuff I'm really passionate about. I love working with animals. I like to help people do the best that they possibly can. I like to share the experience that I've had. Been really fortunate to work with a lot of animals in a lot of places. So hopefully this is the first of many videos where I decide what video I'm going to do. I decide what I'm going to say about it. I'll put it on my own page. Hopefully you like it. Hopefully you share it. Anyways, we'll see you soon. Trying to decide what I'm going to do next. If you saw something in the background that you like, you want me to talk about, you're like, hey, what's that thing? What's that thing? Just let me know. I'll do a video. Few and far between. I'm working all over the world right now, but I'll make whatever video y'all want. Let's see, I need like a sign-off phrase like, and that's the way we catch them. No, that one's dumb.